Hey guys, how you doing? Come on, you can do better than that. How you guys doing? Good, that's awesome. My name is Mark Correia. I'm a magician, I am a comedian, and as you may have noticed, I'm in a straitjacket. Anybody pick up on that? Yeah. A straitjacket that used to be as white as this napkin. A completely blank canvas. We can get rid of that. Today I'm going to explain how I turned a blank canvas into my finished product. It all started with an idea. The inspiration is Michael J. Fox. Everybody know Michael J. Fox here? Many people? Yeah. You might know him as Marty McFly from Back to the Future, or you might know him as Stuart Little, the voice of him. He's not a mouse, right there. I know him as the person who inspired me to start acting and start performing. I saw Back to the Future when I was 9 years old, and I was so immersed in the world of that movie that that's what I wanted to do with my magic. I wanted people to feel like they were experiencing something so impossible when I was doing something. So I began to research Michael J. Fox, and I found out that he had Parkinson's disease. Now, Parkinson's, for those of you who don't know, is a disease that attacks the brain. It causes neurons to fire abnormally without normal control, and then it leads tremors in your body that turns into shaking. So it's terrible. It's a terrible thing, which he then used to turn into something amazing. He used it to turn it into his project, starting the Michael J. Fox Foundation for Parkinson's Research, so that other people with big ideas could help make big changes. So I was a kid, I saw this, and it was my goal to donate a large sum of money to the Michael J. Fox Foundation, but I didn't have my big idea yet. And the right one wasn't going to hit me until I was 14 years old, and I met a magician named Scott Hamill. This is Scott Hamill on the stage. His head isn't that big in real life. And I got to open for him. He's a magician, a world record holder, and he has actually 4 world records, the most famous being the highest suspension straitjacket escape, where he dangled upside down from a hot air balloon, yeah, that's right, 7,200 feet from the earth in a straitjacket and 50 feet of steel chain. So I got to open for him, I got to watch him do his straitjacket escape, and then at the end of the show, he came up to me, it was so awesome, and he was like, "You're pretty good. If you ever need anything, just let me know." And he wrote down his name in my program, he signed it, and then he wrote down his information. So I thought that I would try escapes. So I went online to eBay, I bought a straitjacket, as you do. It was a replica, it was kind of dinky, it was size small. And then I called Scott and I asked him to meet up. And he said, it surprised me, but absolutely. So we met up at a cafe, and Scott brought a briefcase with him, a huge briefcase. And I won't forget this. He popped it open and he said, "This is what a real straitjacket looks like." And he showed me one of these. It was very thick canvas, the buckles are very heavy, and the whole thing was terrifying. Then he said, "If you want to start getting people to take you more seriously, you know, you're young, if you want to start charging more for gigs," which I did, he said, "you should set a world record." Okay, cool, that's what Scott did. I'm a comedian, so we had to start thinking of some new ideas. We started spitballing suggestions to each other, and one found its way onto a napkin. It was a joke. He said, "Hey, why don't you try the slowest straitjacket escape? Because most people do the fastest." And I thought, maybe you have a point. Everybody's so obsessed with the fastest, they don't focus on the worst part of being in the straitjacket, which is actually being in the jacket. So I said, what if I exploit that and I do the longest amount of time in a straitjacket, something nobody had ever attempted before. And as I thought about Parkinson's, as I thought about the effects of that disease, losing your independence, taking twice as long to do everyday tasks, I thought, well, being in a straitjacket is nothing like having Parkinson's. What better way to raise money for the foundation? I could spend 2 whole weeks in a straitjacket without breaks, and people could sponsor me like you would in a marathon, giving me money. They could suggest tasks they wanted to see me do without hands, and then if they could sign the jacket if they donated over $100. It was perfect. At the end of it, I could escape, and while people with Parkinson's don't have that luxury, at the end of the stunt, we would be one step closer to escaping Parkinson's, which was the perfect name for the project. I had the idea, 2 weeks in a straitjacket to raise money for the Michael J. Fox Foundation. Now only one thing stood in my way: fear. We're kidding ourselves if we think the creative geniuses of our time just have more ideas than us. It's not true. They just choose to act on more of those ideas. The only difference is execution. In my opinion, there are 3 stages of fear that get in the way of turning our ideas into reality. The first being the fear of beginning. This is the hardest one for me to overcome. When you start a new project, there's a fear of failure, a fear of never getting anywhere, a fear of looking stupid. Hello? How does a blank document become a finished one? A blank document is the most common death of a good idea. They say if you want to go fast, go by yourself, but if you want to go far, you go with a team. So I needed a team of people to help me do everything. So I asked Spencer Glassman, she's actually my best friend and ex-girlfriend at the time. I asked her if she would help me do everything in the jacket. She said yes. And then I asked Jason D'Souza, who is a business student, if he would take a camera and film everything that I did during the stunt. Now, he was scared. He'd never used a camera before, but he said, sure. He was worried about ruining shots, but he took it on and he began recording me 24/7. Now I had a squad. That's us. But if I was going to spend 2 weeks in a straitjacket, ladies and gentlemen, I needed to get my house ready. Okay, I couldn't do my things without hands, so we began doing this to everything in the house. I had hooks on the doors to be able to open and close them with my teeth. I put tapes on all the knobs in my house so I could open them up with my teeth, couldn't use my feet. And then I made contraptions all around the house, kind of like duct taping things to my sink so I could brush my teeth. I would squeeze the toothpaste out onto my teeth with my teeth, and then I would turn it on. Very graceful, okay? It's a genius. It had been 9 months of planning, and I was going to strap into my straitjacket on live television. And who better person to do it than Scott Hamill? He came, he strapped me in, it was time to begin, and I wish that I would have taken a better stretch. What are you thinking? Okay, anyway. I was going to be in that for 2 whole weeks. And then I was off, attempting all of the tasks that everybody had suggested around the world. I got to be on TV. People were helping me do stuff every day, ride bikes, go out, live my life as normal. Mini putting, that's how breakfast went every day, by the way. That's impressive. I'm sorry. That is impressive. Thank you. Thank you. Wonderland. I got to be on the news and talk to a lot of cool people that I wouldn't have met otherwise. Wait, look at this. Are you kidding? It's got to be another world record there. Sailing, playing soccer, which I'm bad at without a straitjacket, and going to the bathroom, which is my secret, okay? We'll stop it there. With focusing on all the positives, I was able to get through it. I was able to continue. It wasn't that bad, when I was focusing on all the fun that I was having. I was able to make it all the way to day 8 with little complaining, unless you ask my friends. They'll say I complained a lot. With all of that, halfway through, we reached step 2, which is the fear of continuing. Once you're in your project and you begin to lose inspiration for it, or in my case, begin to be in a lot of pain, it becomes very hard to continue without quitting. This is the step where most of us tend to quit. Everything was hurting me now, everything was hurting a lot. This is what my shoulder was doing. Okay, this shoulder is clicking now. I don't know if you can hear this. And we hadn't thought about a way to clean my hands in the straitjacket. I didn't think about it, but this canvas doesn't breathe at all. So my hands were literally decomposing in the sleeves. So this is how we chose to combat that. We had a skipping rope that we cut the ends off of. We would suck up hand sanitizer into the tube. We would feed it down into my arm, and then Spencer would blow it out. She did this every night for me while I was in the jacket. And then I was able to have clean hands. But that pain, that physical pain, was not the worst part. The worst part that I could not have prepared for was the psychological toll that the jacket was taking. I began to feel hopeless. It wasn't even the straitjacket. It was the fact that I had to push forward, I had to be a leader for my team, and I was losing my independence at the same time. So it started not to get as funny. I started to have a breakdown. We had to put this garbage bag on me to bathe me. One of my friends would have to do that. And I realized I had no idea how somebody with Parkinson's would feel. And that was the exact answer to why I had to continue. Spencer, Jason, and I needed an answer, and the answer to all that was love. It sounds cheesy, but it was. There was a big support network around the world cheering me on. I had my friends by my side every day. I could feel that feeling of love. It was palpable. and it was enough to continue. And just like that, I did. And it's easy and it's hard, but it's hard to feel this step because eventually you just choose to continue living and you look back and you're over the hump. So with all of that over, it was on to the last fear, the fear of ending. This one's a little bit different because once you fall in love with your project, you can work on it until the end of time without ever actually giving it over to the world for them to experience it. So I tried to focus on all the positives. I tried to have fun in my last couple days and then say goodbye to my home for the past 14. Somehow, the time had shot by. If you consider shot by crawling at an excruciating pace. I was on the news the next day, ready to escape on live television. Everything hurt. I had to do it. It looked a little bit like this. Oh, that happened, eh? It's gonna be easier. Oh. It didn't get any more graceful, okay? So. I escaped from my mic, that's the first step. Ah! Yeah. Okay. Oh, hey, thank you. Okay, halftime. All right. Okay. I completely straightened my arms for the first time in 2 weeks. Did that feel good? No, not at all. Okay? The blood shot back into my hands, pins and needles all over my body. My skin was peeling off. My hands were nice and sweaty. And then one of the hosts was brave enough to shake it. At that point, I knew it was over. But it wasn't quite over yet. Because of the money we had raised, we were invited to a gala dinner hosted by the Michael J. Fox Foundation in New York City. And I used the opportunity and I lived out another childhood dream of mine by performing there, right in Times Square. Something more impressive was happening the next day. Sorry, I have to take a moment. I just escaped from a straitjacket. I don't know if you saw that, but something more impressive was happening the next day for me. I had been invited to the Michael J. Fox Foundation thank you dinner in New York. It was happening the next day, and somebody, ladies and gentlemen, somebody very important was going to be at that gala. Drake. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. It was Michael J. Fox. Michael J. Fox is going to be there. But imagine that. Imagine meeting your childhood hero. Imagine being in the same room as them for dinner. It was incredible. Okay? I prepared. I put on my best suit. I walked into the gala, and across the room, there he was. He is shorter in person. I began to walk up to him. I didn't know what to say, but as his assistant was ushering him off, the words leapt out of my mouth. Oh, excuse me, Michael. And he turned around, and he put out his hand. And I'd waited for that moment my whole life. And his assistant reminded him of who I was. Yeah, this is the guy who spent all that time in the straitjacket. And he looked at me and he said, "You're nuts." It's cool. I didn't know what to say. I didn't want to ask for a photo. I didn't want him to sign anything. I just wanted to say thank you. And then he said, thank you for everything you did for our foundation. Well, I wanted to thank him, and here he was thanking me. And I mean, I'd raised $15,000. Some people had raised $15 million. And then he grabbed my suit, and he said, nice suit. It's like a young Bobby Kennedy's. I'll take it. I'll take Bobby Kennedy from Michael J. Fox. We said goodbye, and then he went to his table. I was disappointed that I only had my memory, but at least I had that. And then the foundation shouted me out as one of their top donors. I was once 9 years old watching Michael J. Fox on television, and now, 9 years later, he was watching me. I realized I had raised $15,000. I'd set a world record. I'd been seen by an estimated 31 million people worldwide. My idea, like magic, had become reality. So somebody actually told me that there had been a photographer at the gala, and they actually had captured the photo. This photo. Nice. That's me meeting Michael J. Fox. It is a terrible photo of me. If I knew this was being taken, I would have angled my head better, okay? But I promise that is me, that's Michael, and that's us shaking hands. So, after all of that, after everything was said and done, I'd done it, I came over all the fears, but I forgot about something, because you see, I was so focused on the idea that Scott had inspired in me that I hadn't thought about the idea inspired in Jason. That's right, my friend Jason, filming me this entire time, the man behind the scenes, was going through his own 3-step process. I didn't realize it, but Jason was inspired by film. Step 1 of his was dropping out of the University of Toronto as one of the top students in his year in business, gone. Step 2 was enrolling in film school and finding a new passion there, and then questioning his new life path. And step 3 was moving past that fear and moving on in a big way. But he had done it. And the crazy thing is, I asked Jason to be here today. He is the documentary editor for 2 Weeks Strait, a documentary about escaping Parkinson's. He'd shot all the videos 3 years ago, and now 3 years later, he's editing the doc. And I asked him to be here today, and he's not, so don't look back there. But he is currently tackling his own fear of beginning. The fear of beginning his new life in New York City, because Jason is currently doing a very important film internship in the middle of Manhattan. That's right. So remember that inspiration can hit you at any moment, that any idea can become your big idea. Just ask yourself right now, what's going to stop you along the way? Beginning? Continuing? Ending? With a little perseverance, some more stubbornness, and a whole lot of sweat, the answer should be none of them. One more thing. These are not so easy steps, so it doesn't stop there. There's one more. There is the fear of beginning. There's the fear of continuing. And there's the fear of ending. And then there's just one more. The fear of starting something new. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Mark Correia. You guys are awesome. Face your fears every day. Follow up. See you later.